Jesus, if you love me this much, how could I give you anything less than my whole life? This was my spontaneous response when the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist became real for me. I had never rejected the teaching of Jesus' presence in the Eucharist, but then again, I had never really given it too much thought at all. I had simply accepted it as part of being Catholic. As I prepared to attend a retreat, I noticed how enthusiastic my friends were for the upcoming Eucharistic Adoration. They seemed to have something I didn't have. On that retreat, I asked the Lord for a deeper faith in his presence in the Eucharist. While praying before our Lord, I became deeply aware of God's love for me. I had always known this, but now I knew it in the depths of my being. This knowledge made the journey from my head to my heart, and I wept with joy. Before our Eucharistic Lord, I was deeply convinced that he was there and that he had died for me, with all my mess. He saw it all, and he loved me without conditions. I was so overwhelmed with gratitude. This was the beginning of my discernment of a religious vocation. I had never really considered a vocation before because I had decided I wasn't the type to become a sister. But in that encounter with Jesus, I received the desire to give my whole self to him. I knew I could give myself to him in any vocation, but nothing seemed complete enough. I wanted to give myself to him totally, as he had given himself totally to me. It was the only fitting way to say thank you for his love. Through all the twists and turns of discernment that followed, what never changed was his presence. The person of Jesus was becoming more and more real to me. He was more present. Of course, he was always present, but I finally was becoming more aware of him. Daily Mass and visits to the chapel became the food to sustain me in college. In fact, at one point, I recall getting ready to go to bed and looking out the window of my dorm room. As I looked across, I could see the steeple of the chapel. Before I knew it, I found myself bundling up and heading out into the snow across the quad and stepping into the dark chapel for a brief little prayer. Like a couple in love, I could make a visit just to be in the other person's presence. Of course, I could say goodnight to Jesus from the comfort of my own room, but the person of Jesus was waiting for me in the tabernacle. He was inviting me. It was this Eucharistic presence where he waited for me, where he would pour out his love upon me. This presence continued to draw me throughout my discernment. The more I received his love there, the more I desired to return love for love. Jesus, if you love me this much, how could I give you anything less than my whole life?